Do you think you've seen it all? Wait until you hear the story of this humble young woman and her boss's baby. His reaction will shock you. Before diving into this emotional story, subscribe now and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Anna walked quickly through the narrow streets of the modest neighborhood where she lived. The sun was just rising, painting the sky orange, but she already felt the weariness of another heavy day approaching. In her arms, well protected by a worn little blanket, was baby Lucas, only 3 months old. She was young, no more than 22, but her eyes carried a maturity often found only in those who had already faced life head-on. Since she became pregnant, the child's father had vanished without a trace. Friends drifted away, relatives turned their backs. All that was left was her baby, and the harsh daily battle to survive. Anna worked as a cleaner in several houses. She washed, ironed, scrubbed, did everything. But her wages barely covered the rent of a tiny room and food for her and her son. Still, she never let Lucas go without. If necessary, she skipped meals so he could have milk. That day, her worry was even greater. She had secured a steady job at the Montenegro family mansion, one of the richest in the city. Her boss, Roberto Montenegro, was known as a cold, serious businessman of few words. A widower, he had lost his wife just months earlier, during the birth of their only son, Gabriel. Anna had heard many things about him. Some said he never smiled, never got close to anyone, lived only for business. Others claimed he had a heart of stone and knew nothing of compassion. For Anna, it didn't matter, she needed the job. It was her chance at a steady income and a little more security for Lucas. The problem was, that morning her neighbor who usually looked after the baby couldn't help. Desperate, Anna had no choice. She wrapped Lucas in the little blanket and took him along. She promised herself she would hide him in a discreet corner of the mansion so no one would be disturbed. Arriving at the huge iron gate, her heart raced. The Montenegro mansion looked like a modern castle, with pristine gardens, enormous windows and tall walls. A guard opened the gate, eyeing her suspiciously, but since her name was already on the staff list, he let her in. Inside, Anna was even more impressed. Shiny marble floors, expensive paintings on the walls, furniture that seemed straight out of a magazine. It was another world, far from the reality she knew. She took a deep breath, trying not to feel small in that place. An older woman in a spotless uniform approached. "You must be the new maid, right?" she asked with a discreet smile. "Yes, I'm Anna. I came to help with the cleaning. I'm Donna Teresa, the housekeeper. I'll show you your tasks." Anna nodded, keeping her eyes down. She was terrified they might discover Lucas, who slept quietly inside a basket she carried as if it were just laundry. As they walked through the halls, Anna heard distant voices. A nanny was rushing after a persistent cry. It was little Gabriel, the boss's son. The sound of the baby tugged at Anna's heart. Somehow, she felt connected to that child who also had no mother. Donna Teresa explained the rules of the house. No unnecessary talking, no entering the boss's private spaces, no mistakes. Mr. Roberto values order and discretion. If you do your job well, you won't have problems. Anna nodded again. All she wanted was to work in peace and go home with her son. 4 hours, she cleaned bathrooms, scrubbed floors, organized shelves. Lucas kept sleeping in the service room, where she had improvised a little crib with blankets. But near noon, the baby woke and started crying. Anna's heart almost stopped. She rushed to the room, closed the door, and picked him up. Calm down, my love, mommy's here," she whispered, desperate that no one would hear. But the crying only grew louder. Lucas was hungry, and Anna knew she couldn't wait. Trembling with fear, she adjusted her blouse and brought him to her breast. The baby latched on firmly, drinking eagerly. Meanwhile, down the hall, firm footsteps echoed. It was Roberto Montenegro returning from a meeting. He rarely came home at midday, but that day he had decided to check on his son. Fate was preparing the encounter that would change everything. Roberto, puzzled by the sudden silence and the closed service room door, turned the knob. What he saw left him speechless. Anna, sitting on a simple chair, breastfeeding her own baby, while beside her, little Gabriel watched curiously, reaching out his tiny hands. Roberto's stern gaze met hers. Anna froze. Fear took over her body. "I can explain," she stammered, trying to cover herself. But Roberto remained still, observing. The scene struck him deeply, awakening something he didn't know still lived inside him. For the first time in months, his eyes, Anna was paralyzed under Roberto's piercing gaze. Her heart pounded as if it would burst from her chest while Lucas nursed in her arms. For a moment, silence screamed in the small room. Roberto took a deep breath but said nothing. He just stared as if facing something impossible to understand. Anna, distressed, tried to stand but her legs trembled. Sir, please don't fire me. I had no one to leave my son with, he was just hungry, I swear I didn't mean to disrespect your house, she whispered, almost pleading. Roberto frowned, standing tall and imposing. Inside, however, something stirred. For months he had avoided any display of affection since his wife's death. Gabriel's crying bothered him, not out of lack of love, but because each tear reminded him of the woman he had lost. Seeing that simple young woman nursing with such devotion awakened memories he had tried to bury. What is his name? He finally asked, pointing to the baby. Lucas, sir, Anna replied, still nervous. Roberto approached, observed the sleeping baby, and then looked at Gabriel, who stretched his little arms as if he also wanted to be held. For the first time in a long while, the businessman felt a lump in his throat. I don't want explanations now. Finish taking care of him. Later, come talk to me in the main room, he said in a firm voice, but without the expected harshness. He left the small room without waiting for an answer, leaving Anna even more confused. Minutes later, with Lucas settled in his improvised crib, she went down to the main room. Roberto was sitting in an armchair, staring at nothing, holding a photo of his late wife. Anna stopped at the door, too timid to step forward. Come in, he said without turning his face. She entered, head bowed, her hands entwined in nervousness. You brought your child into this house in secret. You know you could be fired for that? He began, keeping his tone controlled. I know, sir. I just had no choice. I didn't want to miss my first day, but I also couldn't leave my baby alone. He depends on me for everything, she explained with restrained tears. Roberto raised his eyes to her and for the first time, noticed the mix of youth and strength in her gaze. You are brave or desperate? Maybe both, he murmured. Anna didn't know what to answer. And what would you do if I decided to fire you right now? He asked, testing her. She took a deep breath, felt her chest tighten, but replied, I would look for another job. I would cry maybe, but I wouldn't give up, because I need to fight for him. No matter how many times life tries to knock me down. Her simple words echoed in Roberto's mind. He closed his eyes for a moment and sighed as if fighting against something within himself. You will stay here, he said suddenly. Anna widened her eyes, surprised. But there are conditions. Your son cannot be exposed, cannot interfere with the house's tasks. I want order. But I will not separate a mother from her child. Understood. Anna nodded eagerly, tears now running uncontrollably down her face. Thank you, sir, thank you with all my heart. Roberto looked away, uncomfortable with his own emotion. Go back to work. And take good care of him. Children should not pay for adults' mistakes, he finished. Anna left the room with her heart racing. She still didn't know what to think of that serious, enigmatic man, but she was sure of one thing. That day would mark the beginning of a story that would change her life forever. Anna returned to her work corner, trying to resume her tasks as if nothing had happened, but her heart was still pounding. She settled Lucas in the improvised crib and started cleaning the dining room when she felt someone's eyes on her. Donna Teresa, the housekeeper, was standing in the doorway, arms crossed, watching her every move. Anna, you brought the baby inside the house? She asked, with a mix of shock and disapproval in her voice. Anna swallowed hard. Yes, Donna Teresa. I had no one to leave him with and he was hungry. I promise he didn't disturb anyone, she answered, trying to stay calm. Donna Teresa sighed deeply, running her hand through her gray hair. You know that if the master finds out, it could be serious. But I also know you did what you thought was right. Just try to be better organized next time, she said, with a slight tone of understanding, though still rigid. Anna nodded, feeling an unexpected relief. Other employees who had already heard rumors of what happened began whispering among themselves, some surprised, others silently judging. Maria, the cook, approached and commented quietly, I never imagined you were so brave. I would have died of fear of being caught. Anna just gave a shy smile. Meanwhile, Lucas cried again and Anna, with no alternative, picked him up and began nursing him discreetly in a corner of the hallway. At that moment Roberto appeared again, walking through the mansion corridors. He stopped when he noticed the scene, but this time remained closer, observing without interfering. His gaze was curious, almost evaluative, as if trying to understand the simple world of that young woman who seemed to carry so much within herself. Some employees shrank when they saw him, fearing his reaction, but he merely made a silent gesture for her to continue. Anna felt a mix of shame and relief, but also a strange sense of safety. It was as if, suddenly, that serious and distant man had silently allowed her to be human, a mother, and not just an employee. Throughout the day, the situation discreetly repeated itself. Anna cared for Lucas, cleaned the house, and tried not to draw attention. Even so, small gestures of kindness began to appear from Roberto. He ordered milk prepared for Lucas, left toys and extra clothes in the service room, and began observing Anna more closely, noticing every detail of her effort. As the days passed, word of the young woman's gesture spread among the staff, some admiring, others suspicious. But everyone began noticing a subtle change. Roberto, once so distant and rigid, seemed more human, more present. He was still strict in business and demanding at home, but there was a difference no one could deny. Anna in turn felt something inside her change as well. Each gesture of understanding, each approving glance, each small detail showing that the master trusted her strengthened her courage and determination to fight for Lucas and herself. Life was still hard, but now there was a silent, almost imperceptible hope that took root in the Montenegro mansion. A hope that perhaps compassion could bloom in the most unexpected places. In the following days, Anna's routine in the Montenegro mansion began to take unexpected turns. She worked with dedication, caring for Lucas quietly and keeping the house impeccable, but she couldn't escape the gossip spreading through the corridors. One day, Roberto's family came to the mansion for a formal gathering. His sister-in-law, Isabella, an elegant and proud woman, quickly noticed something different about the young maid. Seeing her discreetly settling Lucas in a corner of the hall, Isabella couldn't contain her criticism. "This is absurd. How can a servant bring a baby into our house? This is unacceptable," she said, her voice dripping with contempt. Anna felt her face flush, but she held firm, carefully holding Lucas. "He was hungry, ma'am. I had no choice," she explained, trying to keep her voice calm. Roberto, watching the scene from across the room, felt a mix of anger and protectiveness. For the first time, he interrupted a family member. "Isabella, this is not the time to judge. Anna did what any mother would do. Don't let your pride blind compassion," he said firmly. His sister-in-law widened her eyes, surprised by his stance, but said nothing. Some guests whispered among themselves, surprised by the master's defense. Anna, despite her embarrassment, felt a wave of relief. For the first time, someone recognized her effort without judgment. The rest of the day was a mix of tension and strangeness. Some employees looked at Anna with curiosity, others with admiration. She knew she was being watched, but now she didn't feel fear, she felt determination. Roberto, meanwhile, began watching Anna closely. Not only as an employee but as a woman and a mother. Each gesture of hers caring for her child and for Gabriel awakened in him feelings he thought had died with his wife. He began planning small ways to help her without anyone noticing. He arranged extra food for Lucas, left clean clothes and toys hidden in the service room, and discreetly allowed Anna moments of rest while caring for the baby. Anna, without realizing it, began trusting him. She knew she could count on his silent understanding, even if the entire mansion seemed like hostile territory. The tension between the wealthy family and the humble young woman did not ease, but Roberto positioned himself as a shield, showing that Anna's courage and dedication deserved respect. At the end of the day, when the house finally grew quiet, Anna sat in the service room, hugged Lucas, and thought about how her life had changed. She still faced enormous challenges, but now she had an unexpected ally, someone capable of transforming not only her situation but also the views of everyone around her. For the first time in a long while, Anna felt that perhaps justice and humanity could exist, even in the coldest, strictest places. And Roberto, in silence, reflected on how that simple gesture of a humble young woman breastfeeding her child had awakened in him a long-forgotten emotion, hope. As days passed, Anna began noticing small changes in Roberto's behavior. He not only allowed her to care for Lucas but also left subtle signs of attention and care. One morning, when she went to clean the living room, she found a small plate with fresh fruit and a glass of milk in the corner of the service room. A simple note read, "For the baby and for you. Take care of yourself too. R." Anna smiled emotionally, feeling a mix of gratitude and surprise. She had never imagined such a serious man could show affection in this way. Meanwhile, Roberto observed from afar, analyzing Anna's every move, each maternal gesture, every loving glance she gave Lucas. He felt something he hadn't felt in months, warmth in his chest, a sense of closeness he couldn't ignore. Gabriel, the master's son, also began to grow accustomed to Lucas and Anna's presence. The little boy watched curiously, reaching out to the baby, and Anna encouraged him with a smile. It was a silent bond, but one that grew each day. Some employees, noticing the change, whispered among themselves, admiring Anna's dedication and courage. Others still judged, but Roberto's firm stance served as protection, and no one dared confront her openly. One afternoon, while cleaning the veranda, Anna was startled to hear Roberto's voice behind her. "You're doing a good job," he said bluntly. Anna blushed and thanked him, her heart racing. She didn't know if it was from the compliment or the unexpected closeness. Roberto continued, "I know it's not easy to balance everything. But I see that you manage and I admire your strength." Anna felt hot tears slide discreetly down her face. No one had ever praised her like that, no one had ever acknowledged her daily struggles so sincerely. From that moment, a silent bond began to form between them, made of respect, understanding, and a discreet but undeniable attraction. Each day, each small gesture of care, each knowing glance made Anna feel less alone and more confident. Lucas, in turn, seemed to sense the change in the atmosphere, smiling and calming easily when Roberto approached, as if he felt protection and affection there. And Roberto, who had always avoided showing feelings, began realizing that Anna and Lucas's presence awakened in him something beyond his role as master: humanity, compassion, and above all, a silent desire to be close, to care, to protect. Tension still existed with the family, with whispers and disapproving looks, but Roberto grew increasingly firm, defending Anna discreetly, allowing her to maintain her dignity and courage. And Anna, without even realizing it, began to dream of something she had never imagined: that perhaps in that place of luxury and coldness, there could exist affection, respect, and even love. It was a Saturday afternoon when the Montenegro family organized a small gathering at the mansion, bringing together close relatives and some important guests. Anna was responsible for keeping everything in order, cleaning, serving, and ensuring that no small detail was overlooked. Lucas slept peacefully in his improvised crib in the service room, but the tension in the air was palpable. Since the news that Anna had brought her own child into the mansion spread among the employees, many of Roberto's relatives had been alert to any misstep. When Isabella, the elegant sister-in-law, noticed Anna nearby, she couldn't restrain a sharp remark. "I can't believe this young woman thinks she can act like part of the family. And that baby, bringing chaos into our home," she whispered to one of the aunts. Anna, meanwhile, continued her work silently, but she could feel the critical eyes all around her. Every movement was evaluated, every gesture of care with Lucas or Gabriel was observed and judged. Roberto, noticing the growing tension, discreetly approached. "Anna, keep going as you are. Ignore the comments. You're doing what's right," he said quietly but firmly enough for her to hear. Anna nodded, feeling strengthened by his presence. The situation, however, reached its peak when Gabriel began crying loudly, demanding attention. Anna rushed to calm him, holding him in her arms and trying not to falter under the critical stares. Then Isabella, unable to contain her arrogance, spoke loudly, "Unbelievable. The nanny does nothing right and we still have to tolerate this young woman bringing her own child into our home. This is humiliating." A heavy silence fell over the room. All the guests and relatives turned to Anna, some shocked, others curious to see how Roberto would react. For the first time, Anna felt real fear of losing everything, of being expelled from a place that, despite its challenges, offered security for her and her child. But Roberto did not hesitate. He stepped in front of her, looking straight into his sister-in-law's eyes. "Isabella, stop. This is unacceptable. Anna did what any mother would do for her child. And as long as I am here, no one will disrespect her for that," he said firmly, his voice filled with authority and emotion. The whole room fell silent. Some guests averted their eyes, unsure of how to react, while Isabella flushed with anger and embarrassment. Anna felt hot tears roll down her face, but this time they were tears of relief and gratitude. She had never felt so protected by someone, and Roberto's gesture made her realize she was not alone. The bond between them, silent until then, gained strength in the face of tension. Roberto discreetly held Anna's arm and whispered, "Ignore it all. Trust me. You are safe here." Anna nodded, feeling her heart warm. From that day on, the dynamics in the mansion began to change. The employees started looking at Anna with more respect, and even Roberto's relatives, though resistant, realized that the young woman had someone powerful by her side. And for Anna, each small silent victory was a step toward the hope of better days, toward the certainty that courage, dedication, and maternal love could overcome prejudice and transform lives. In the days following the confrontation at the family gathering, Anna noticed subtle changes in Roberto's behavior. He began creating small opportunities to help her without anyone noticing. One day, while she was organizing the bedrooms, she found a tray with baby food, clean diapers, and a simple note, "For you and Lucas." You don't need to worry about anything else now. Anna felt a wave of emotion course through her. No one had ever cared for her in that way. While cleaning the living room, Roberto suddenly appeared and, without formalities, placed a glass of water and some snacks beside her so she could eat. You need to take care of yourself too, he said seriously, but with a different glimmer in his eyes. Anna blushed, surprised and touched by the gesture. Gradually, small moments began to become routine. He left hidden toys for Lucas, clean clothes in the service room, milk already prepared for both babies. Anna began realizing that even without explicit words, Roberto was approaching her and her son with genuine care. Gabriel, in turn, began recognizing Anna as a figure of affection. He smiled at her, clung to her arms, and Anna felt her heart warm. It was as if the two babies, each with their own story, were creating a silent bond of trust and affection, and Anna became the bridge between them. Some employees noticed the growing closeness and commented discreetly. Some admired, others were curious. But no one dared interfere as they knew Roberto defended Anna firmly. Anna, even amid the exhausting routine, felt more confident. Each gesture of care, each whispered word, each knowing glance strengthened her determination and reinforced her silent bond with Roberto. He, in turn, was surprised by his own feelings. A man who had always avoided demonstrations of affection now found himself concerned with every detail of Anna and Lucas's lives, wishing to be present more constantly, without it being seen as improper. Small conversations began to happen, discreet, in the hallway between tasks, with looks that said more than words could express. Anna felt a mix of gratitude, affection, and an emotion she still couldn't name. For Roberto, each of Anna's smiles, each gesture of care for the babies awakened something he thought he had lost forever: the ability to feel tenderness, closeness, and perhaps the beginning of a deep affection that went far beyond the duties of master and servant. The mansion, once cold and silent, began filling with life from their presence, with the babies' laughter and cries, with small moments of complicity and care that made each day unique and unexpected. One afternoon, after finishing her tasks, Anna was on the mansion's veranda rocking Lucas in her arms while little Gabriel played with some toys nearby. The sun was setting, painting the sky in orange tones, and there was a rare calm that seemed to envelop the whole house. Roberto appeared silently, watching the scene without wanting to interrupt. He slowly approached, keeping a respectful distance but letting his attention and care show. "He seems happy when he's with you," he finally said, his voice low and full of contained emotion. Anna looked at him, surprised by the different tone, and replied timidly, "He feels safe, sir. And Gabriel also seems calmer when we're together." Roberto felt a pang in his chest. That simple observation moved him in a way he didn't fully understand but didn't want to admit. He came closer, this time naturally, and offered to hold Lucas while she stretched. Anna hesitated for a moment but trusted him. She felt the firm yet gentle touch of his hands, the security he conveyed effortlessly. It was the first time she had seen him so close, so human, so vulnerable in his own sensitivity. The silence between them was comfortable, filled only with the sound of the babies playing and the birds in the garden. Roberto finally broke the tension. "You're incredible, Anna. Taking care of two babies while keeping everything in order. Not everyone could do that." Anna blushed, looking away but couldn't hide her smile. "I only do what I must to survive and take care of them. I'm not incredible, I just do what my heart tells me to do." Her simple words touched Roberto deeply. He realized that the humble young woman, so dedicated and brave, awakened in him feelings he thought had died months ago: admiration, tenderness, and an affection that went beyond the duties of master. The afternoon passed with small gestures of care. He brought an extra blanket for Lucas, adjusted the crib to make it more comfortable, and even brought new toys for Gabriel, all without grand displays, but with attention to the smallest details. Anna noticed each gesture and felt her heart warm. For the first time, she truly felt recognized, not just as an employee but as a person, a mother, and a woman. "Roberto." She served the dishes and, with a forced smile, said, "I hope you know that a mansion is no place for carelessness. Any mistake of yours will be seen by everyone." Anna swallowed hard but kept a firm posture. "Yes, ma'am. I'll do my best," she replied, trying to hide her fear and anxiety. Roberto, seated at the table, noticed the tension in the air and frowned, but chose to observe before intervening. He knew this was a silent test for Anna, a way to measure her courage and dignity in the face of hostility. Soon after, an incident occurred. Gabriel knocked over a glass of juice, spilling it across the Persian rug in the dining room. Anna quickly bent down to clean it, holding Lucas in her arms, feeling Isabella's critical gaze on her. "You'll pay for this," the sister-in-law whispered disdainfully, hoping to humiliate her. But Roberto suddenly stood up and interrupted. "Stop, Isabella. Anna is doing what any mother would do. I will not tolerate unfair criticism of someone who shows courage and dedication." The whole room fell silent. Some guests averted their eyes, surprised by his firmness. Anna felt a mixture of relief and gratitude flood her body. For the first time, she wasn't just being protected, but recognized as worthy of respect. Later, in the small service room, Anna sat with Lucas in her arms, trying to catch her breath. Roberto entered, closed the door behind him, and said softly, "You passed the test. I know it's not easy to deal with critical looks, but your courage impresses me." Anna smiled shyly. "Thank you, sir. I don't know how I could face all this without your understanding." He stepped closer and adjusted Lucas's blanket, showing care and attention. "You're not alone. And you won't be." The family's tension, the silent judgment of the staff, all seemed less threatening now that Roberto had taken on his role as protector. Anna realized that every gesture of trust and respect he showed not only strengthened their bond but also gave her strength to keep facing prejudice and challenges. Night fell and the mansion grew silent. Anna looked at Lucas sleeping and felt a comforting warmth in her chest. For the first time in a long while, she felt that her daily struggle was not just about survival, but about a future where courage, love, and dignity could overcome obstacles and transform lives. And Roberto, watching from a distance, felt closer to Anna than he had ever imagined, realizing that this humble and determined young woman awakened in him deep feelings capable of changing everything. That morning, Anna faced yet another challenge. Lucas had a cold and cried non-stop, while Gabriel seemed restless, wanting attention at the same time. Anna ran back and forth, trying to calm both babies while keeping the house in order. The tension was palpable. The staff watched silently, fearing Roberto's reaction as he worked in his office. Suddenly, another incident occurred. Gabriel knocked over a precious flower vase, spilling water and petals across the floor. Anna, terrified, tried to control the baby and the mess at the same time, but couldn't prevent some flowers from falling on the expensive rug. At that moment, Isabella, Roberto's sister-in-law, entered abruptly, indignant. "This is what I mean. This young woman has no conditions to work here. She's bringing chaos to the house and our family," she shouted, trying to humiliate Anna in front of everyone. Anna felt her heart tighten, held Lucas tighter, and braced herself for criticism from all sides. The family tried to push Anna away. But before another word could be said, Roberto appeared in the room, firm and imposing. He positioned himself in front of Anna, blocking the hostility. "Enough," he said in an authoritative voice. After the great confrontation and Roberto's firm stance in accepting Anna and Lucas as part of the family, the following days brought a new atmosphere to the mansion. The once cold and heavy air now felt lighter, filled with the laughter of the babies and glances of complicity between Anna and Roberto. However, his decision was not easily accepted by all. Some relatives, especially Isabella, still whispered in secret, insinuating that the closeness between boss and maid could tarnish the family's reputation. Anna heard the whispers in the hallways but stood firm. She knew she couldn't allow gossip and malice to erase the chance destiny had placed in her path. Roberto, for his part, did not back down from criticism. He was more present, more protective, and openly showed his support for Anna and the babies, which only strengthened their bond. One night, however, Lucas suddenly fell ill. His fever rose quickly and Anna panicked. She ran to Roberto's room, knocking on the door, asking for help. He didn't hesitate. He immediately took them to the family's private doctor, who was already waiting at the clinic. Anna, distressed, trembled as she held her son. Roberto stayed by her side the whole time, supporting her with firm but gentle words. "He'll be fine, Anna. Trust." At that moment, Anna realized she was no longer alone. For the first time, she had someone willing to face life's challenges with her. Someone who not only protected her but also shared the weight of her worries. The doctor confirmed that Lucas had only a simple infection and, with care, would recover in a few days. Anna wept with relief, hugging her son tightly while Roberto watched, moved. Then he placed his hand on her shoulder and said, "You are strong, but even the strong need someone to lean on. I want to be that someone for you." Anna was speechless. The intensity of his gaze made her blush but also brought her a sense of safety and belonging she had never felt before. On the way back to the mansion, they remained silent, but there was a new energy between them, a bond beyond words. It was the beginning of something greater, a feeling growing with every challenge faced together, and that, sooner or later, would forever change the course of their lives. With Roberto's decision to accept Anna as part of the family, the mansion felt more welcoming, but the outside world was not ready to embrace the change. The neighborhood, upon learning that the humble young woman now held a place within the Montenegro family, began to gossip. Some with curiosity, others with disguised criticism. Anna felt the stares whenever she went out for errands or walks with the babies. Some whispered that a maid shouldn't have access to such luxury, while others speculated about her relationship with Roberto. The young woman felt a tightness in her chest at every comment but took a deep breath and remembered his words. "You are worthy of everything, Anna. Never let anyone tell you otherwise." Inside the mansion, not all relatives had come to terms with the decision. Isabella continued to make insinuations and tried to embarrass Anna at every chance, while others pretended normalcy, though the tension was palpable. Anna, however, learned to handle these situations with firmness and patience. Each external challenge strengthened her courage and showed that her place in the mansion was not just a privilege, but a conquest earned through effort, dedication, and maternal love. Roberto, attentive to everything, became increasingly protective. He discreetly accompanied Anna, helped her face critical stares, and ensured she was never disrespected. Small gestures, like bringing her breakfast in bed or preparing Lucas so she could have a few minutes of rest, made Anna feel safe and valued. One day, during a formal family lunch with distant relatives, Isabella tried once more to humiliate Anna, making comments about her humble origins and hinting that she didn't belong there. Anna took a deep breath, held Lucas, and looked directly at Roberto, seeking strength. Perceiving her gaze, he stood up firmly and said, "Enough. Anna not only belongs here, she is an important part of our family. Your judgments have no place in this house." Silence filled the room. Some relatives looked away embarrassed, while others began to reflect on Anna's courage and Roberto's firm stance. In that moment, Anna realized she didn't need to prove herself to everyone, only to those who truly mattered. Roberto's confidence and the love for the children were stronger than any external prejudice. For the first time, Anna felt she could look to the future with hope, knowing she would face criticism and challenges with courage, but never alone. The mansion, despite external tensions, remained a refuge of safety, affection, and unity, and Anna understood that even in the face of prejudice, love, respect, and courage would always prevail. After weeks of tension and challenges, the Montenegro mansion finally held a small celebration for Gabriel's birthday. Anna helped with the preparations, arranging decorations, setting up toys, and making sure Lucas was comfortable and safe. The atmosphere was cheerful, but Anna still felt nervous, remembering the family's criticism and the prejudice she had faced in previous weeks. When the guests began to arrive, she noticed curious glances and whispers about her presence but took a deep breath, recalling Roberto's words, "You are part of the family. Trust yourself." During the party, small gestures of kindness began to shift the mood. Roberto introduced Anna to the guests with pride, praising her care and dedication. "This is Anna. She has cared for Lucas and Gabriel with love and courage. She is part of our family and deserves all our respect," he said with a firm, welcoming voice. Gradually, the rigidity of some relatives melted before Anna's sincerity and strength. She smiled, tended to the children, cared for Lucas, and radiated grace and determination that won over those around her. Some relatives approached her, offering veiled apologies for their past behavior and acknowledging her worth. Anna felt a quiet joy growing inside her. For the first time, she wasn't merely tolerated, she was being accepted. The celebration continued with laughter, games, and tender moments between the babies and guests. Roberto stayed close to Anna, watching her every move with a mix of pride and affection that grew with each passing moment. When the party ended, Anna sat in the garden with Lucas asleep in her arms, and Roberto approached quietly. He gently held her hand and said, "You faced everything with courage. Look around. They finally understand what I always knew, that you are extraordinary." Anna smiled, emotional, tears of joy and relief streaming down her face. For the first time, she truly felt part of something bigger, welcomed not just by the children but also by those who once doubted her. The celebration was not only for Gabriel's birthday, it was also a victory of courage, kindness, and unconditional love that Anna demonstrated every day. The mansion, once marked by tension and prejudice, was now filled with laughter, joy, and reconciliation, and Anna knew her life had changed forever. In the days following the celebration, the mansion's routine began to transform. Anna felt increasingly secure and confident, caring for Lucas and Gabriel with love and dedication, while Roberto remained close, offering quiet but constant support. Small gestures of affection became routine. He prepared breakfast for Anna, arranged the baby's room, and even shared simple moments like reading stories to Gabriel by her side. Anna, in turn, began to notice new feelings inside her. The respect and admiration she had always felt for Roberto now mingled with something deeper, a quiet affection that grew with every gesture, every word, every knowing look. One day, as they walked through the garden with the babies, Anna looked at Roberto and realized he was present not just physically, but emotionally. "Thank you for everything, sir, for protecting me, for trusting me," she said timidly. He held her hand firmly and replied, "Anna, you don't need to thank me. You are part of our life. You always have been and always will be." The weight of his words touched Anna deeply, making her heart race. She knew that, despite all difficulties and judgment, she had found someone willing to be by her side through anything. Daily life still brought challenges, of course. Some relatives continued to question certain decisions, but Roberto's firm stance and Anna's dignity made those incidents increasingly rare. Each quiet victory strengthened their bond, creating a relationship built on trust, respect, and a growing affection that, though still unspoken, was evident to anyone watching. One afternoon, while the babies slept, Roberto and Anna sat together on the porch in silence, sharing the peace of the sunset. Without words, they both felt the intensity of the bond that had formed. Anna knew that connection wasn't just about protection or gratitude. It was something greater, growing each day, promising to transform their lives forever. And Roberto, watching Anna with Lucas in her arms, felt for the first time in a long while that he had found someone who completed him. Someone who, with courage and tenderness, was conquering his heart without demanding anything he wasn't already willing to give. The mansion, once marked by tension and prejudice, now breathed harmony, affection, and hope. Anna understood that, despite adversities, love, courage, and dedication could always create unbreakable bonds. One morning, as Anna prepared breakfast for the babies, a messenger arrived at the mansion with unexpected news. An old business partner of Roberto was involved in a legal problem that threatened the Montenegro family's reputation and, indirectly, the peace of Anna and the children. Anna felt her chest tighten upon hearing the news, worried for the babies and everyone's safety in the mansion. Roberto, upon receiving the message, remained serious but determined. "Anna, I trust you to keep everything under control here while I resolve this. I know I can count on you," he said, conveying confidence and responsibility. Anna took a deep breath and nodded. For the first time, she felt that the weight of the situation required more of her than just care and dedication. It demanded courage and direct action. In the following days, she took on greater tasks, organizing the mansion's routine, ensuring the children's safety, and handling anxious staff and family members. Each decision made with firmness and prudence reinforced the respect everyone felt for her. Roberto, for his part, found small moments to be by Anna's side, observing her strength and dedication. It was as if this unexpected challenge had brought them even closer, creating a silent bond based on trust and partnership. One afternoon, as they reviewed important documents together in the office, Anna looked at Roberto and said, "No matter what happens out there, I know we can face everything together." He smiled, touched by her courage, and replied, "That's exactly right, Anna. Together we are stronger. And nothing will separate us." The situation remained delicate, but their determination and the bond they had built made it clear they would face any adversity. The mansion, though still surrounded by external tension, became a refuge of unity and love, where Anna and Roberto learned that unexpected challenges could strengthen bonds and reveal deep feelings that had until then remained silent. Lucas and Gabriel played nearby, unaware of the outside world's concerns, but symbolizing the strength of the family being formed, a family growing through courage, dedication, and unconditional love. Each day, Anna felt more confident and secure in her role, realizing that her bond with Roberto went beyond gratitude. It was the foundation of something lasting, capable of overcoming any crisis and transforming the destiny of everyone in the mansion. A few days later, unexpected news shook the entire mansion. The legal problem involving Roberto's former partner had intensified and now threatened to expose the Montenegro family's financial secrets. When Anna learned the seriousness of the situation, her heart raced, worried not only about the babies but also about Roberto and everyone's stability. Roberto remained firm, but there was a clear tension in his eyes. "Anna, I need you to stay calm and take care of the children. I trust you completely," he said with firmness and care. She nodded, taking a deep breath, determined not to show fear. In the following days, Anna took on even greater responsibilities. She organized the mansion's routine, kept the babies safe and comfortable, and managed the anxiety of the employees and relatives who sought answers. Every decision made with courage and intelligence made everyone around her respect her more deeply. Roberto, in turn, found brief moments to be with Anna, offering words of encouragement and subtle gestures of affection. The closeness between them grew, strengthened by adversity and mutual trust. One afternoon, while Lucas and Gabriel played in the garden, Anna looked at Roberto and said, "No matter what happens out there, I know that together we can overcome anything." He smiled, moved, holding her hand firmly and replying, "Exactly, Anna. Together we are invincible. Nothing can separate us." The external tension did not disappear, but Anna and Roberto's determination created a protective barrier for the babies and the harmony of the mansion. Each challenge faced together strengthened their bond, transforming respect and gratitude into something deeper, based on trust, complicity, and true affection. The mansion, despite the external threat, continued to be a refuge of love and union. Anna realized that every gesture from Roberto, every word of encouragement, and every moment shared not only strengthened her courage but also the certainty that the bond forming between them was indestructible. Lucas and Gabriel, playing nearby, were living proof that the strength of a family is not measured only by status or wealth, but by love, courage, and dedication. The great turning point showed that even in the face of the most unexpected crises, unity and affection could transform lives and create a future of hope, resilience, and happiness. The atmosphere in the mansion had been tense since the news about Roberto's partner's legal troubles intensified. Anna felt the pressure but also a quiet confidence that grew with each gesture of support from him. One afternoon, while Lucas and Gabriel slept, Roberto called Anna into his office. She entered, apprehensive, but found her employer with a serene look, unlike anything she had ever seen before. "Anna, I need you to know how much you mean to me and the boys," he began, his voice heavy with contained emotion. Anna felt her heart race. "Sir, I only do what is right for the babies in the house," she replied timidly, feeling the weight of his sincerity. Roberto approached and gently held her hand. "It's not just about tasks or responsibility. It's about courage, dedication, and love. You've proven that you're not just part of the house but part of our family. And I want everyone to know that." Anna was speechless. A knot formed in her throat and tears began to stream down her face. For the first time, she felt that every struggle, every judgment, and every challenge had been worth it. At that moment, the entire family was called into the office. Some relatives still hesitated, but Roberto, firm, declared, "Anna is part of our family. She is worthy of love, respect, and of being by our side, not just as an employee, but as someone who has earned her place through her heart." Silence filled the room. Anna felt tears of gratitude and emotion run through her as some family members were moved, unable to contain their tears at Roberto's sincerity. The employees, watching from a distance, were also touched, recognizing the victory of courage and kindness. Lucas and Gabriel played nearby, unaware of the moment, but representing the unbreakable bond Anna had helped to build. The tension and prejudice finally dissipated, giving way to genuine harmony, built through challenges, affection, and courage. Roberto's gesture had forever consolidated Anna as a member of the family. Everyone present felt the intense emotion of the moment, with silent tears, hugs, and looks of recognition. For the first time, Anna felt truly welcomed, safe, and loved, and Roberto knew that his decision had forever transformed not only her life but also the hearts of everyone in the mansion. With Anna finally consolidated as part of the Montenegro family, the mansion breathed an atmosphere of peace and joy. The days of tension and judgment were left behind, replaced by laughter, affection, and mutual care. Anna cared for Lucas and Gabriel with love and dedication, while Roberto always remained by her side, offering support and actively participating in the children's routine. The family gradually adapted to the presence of the humble young woman, recognizing her value and the courage she had shown in every difficult moment. To celebrate this union, Roberto organized a special dinner, inviting close relatives and employees who had witnessed Anna's dedication. The night was full of emotion and tenderness. Everyone was gathered to recognize not only Anna's courage but also the strength of the bond she and Roberto had built. During dinner, Roberto stood up and with a firm voice declared, "Anna is not just an employee. She is part of our family, someone who has earned respect, love, and trust. Today we celebrate the courage, dedication, and humanity that she has taught us to value." A silence heavy with emotion filled the room, followed by applause, tears, and warm hugs. Anna, moved, could not hold back her tears, holding Lucas in her arms while Roberto watched her with pride and tenderness. The employer's family tried to push Anna away. A great confrontation occurred. But that night showed that love and courage overcame any prejudice or mistrust. Roberto made an unexpected decision. He accepted Anna as part of the family. The final scene showed everyone moved, with tears of gratitude and reconciliation. The mansion, once marked by tension and judgment, was now a home full of laughter, affection, and unity. Anna knew that every challenge faced had been a lesson in courage, patience, and love. Roberto, holding her hand, felt that together they had built something indestructible, a bond that could never be broken. The story that began with surprise and fear now ended with joy, reconciliation, and the certainty that family is not defined only by blood ties, but by love, respect, and shared dedication. Anna proved courage, dedication, and love every day. You have no right to judge her or try to push her away. She is not just an employee, she is part of our life and from today will be part of the family. Absolute silence filled the room. All eyes turned to Roberto, surprised and moved. Anna felt tears run down her face, a mix of relief, gratitude, and pure happiness. A great confrontation took place. The tension that had built up for days exploded into emotion, but Roberto remained firm, protecting Anna with all the authority and love he felt. Gradually, some family members began to be moved, realizing the sincerity and courage of the young woman. The barriers of pride and prejudice began to fall before the truth and compassion shone. Roberto made an unexpected decision. He accepted Anna as part of the family. He approached her, held her hand tenderly, and said, "You are not alone. This is your place, just as it is Lucas's." Anna, emotional, could not hold back her tears, hugging her employer tightly, finally feeling recognized and welcomed. The final scene showed everyone moved, with tears of gratitude and reconciliation. Gabriel and Lucas played nearby, the employees smiled, some relatives discreetly wiped their tears, and the mansion that once seemed cold and distant was now filled with warmth, love, and hope. Anna knew that this was the victory of courage, motherhood, and humanity, and that from then on, her life would never be the same. And so, courage and love transformed everything. Anna was finally accepted. The mansion was filled with emotion, and everyone learned the true value of humanity. If you were touched by this story, click like, subscribe to the channel, and share so more people can feel this emotion. And until the next story.